To make this lovely greens paratha, I have here half a bunch of methi, half a bunch of palak or spinach, and half a bunch of coriander and a little of lemon and a little of mint leaves. Mixed all of these together to make our nice lovely greens paratha. I'm now going to add some spices. So we're going to need 1 tablespoon of white pepper powder. Add 1 teaspoonful of salt, okay, 1/4 teaspoonful of red pepper powder, 1/4 teaspoonful of red chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric powder. See, I'm just going to add a little of my red chili powder if you want it a little spicy. Add 1/4 teaspoonful of cumin powder, one teaspoonful of ginger garlic paste, and to keep the parathas nice and soft, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of white mayonnaise, or you could just add some cream. Lovely. Now I'm just going to mix all of this real good. Okay, so there you go. Just mix everything real good. The mayonnaise helps give a nice cheesy flavor, and it also adds to the moisture, so your parathas are nice and soft. Okay, mix this real good so that the spices gel along together. They're not just at one side. Lovely. So it mixed pretty well. Okay. Okay. Now to this I'm going to add my wheat flour. So just to tell you, I had chopped these real small, all the greens. That's the mint leaves, the coriander, the spinach, the palak, the methi, all the greens. Chop them in medium sizes so that they're not whole leaves around. Okay, now to this I'm going to add my wheat flour. So depending on how wholesome you want your parathas, you could add your flour. Clearly depends upon how many people. So we're just the 2 of us are going to eat this, but we're going to have them as nice wholesome parathas. So I'm just adding just about 2 cups of 2 bowls of the flour, because I want my parathas to be nice and wholesome. Okay, so now what you do is you use the flour to separate off the greens from each other. So just go about doing this. That's stage 1, so that they all blend very easily with the flour and they're not there as lumps, because otherwise you'll not be able to pat the paratha well. So just go about doing this and separating the greens from each other with the help of the flour. This may take about a minute and a half, just to be absolutely correct. Okay, now as you can see, you can actually see more of the greens than the flour, isn't it? Because I've used the flour to my advantage to separate off the greens. Lovely. Okay, I'm now going to add some water. So just the way now you would make your chapatis or any other parathas, just be careful because these are more stuffed, so you'll have to be absolutely correct with the water. Okay, So take a little water, spread it around, take a little more, spread it around, and start making a dough out of this. So just be slow, take your time, because this has less amount of flour, so it's going to need exact amount of water. You can't go wrong. So slowly start getting them together and make a comfortable dough out of this. As you can see, my dough for the greens paratha is absolutely ready. I'm now going to add just about 1 tablespoon of oil. Okay, so there you go, just to ensure that the moisture is in place. See, the beauty of the parathas are it has to be moist, it has to be nice and tender and soft. That's when, you know, one relishes eating parathas, and the greens act as the healthier part of the paratha. So by this you're ensuring that all the kinds of greens get into your stomach, help in clearing of the systems, because here we have methi and palak, spinach, mint leaves or pudina, coriander. You could add celery as well. Okay, lovely. So this is nice and moist now, and it's absolutely ready. I could just go ahead and start. Okay, so I'm just going to start by making roundies. So take a little in your palm, just go round like this, toss it in the center. That's it, keep it at the side. Take a little. So you could look at making large to medium sized parathas as well. This much should be good enough. Now to make these, I'm going to show you how you're going to need a little more of the dry flour while rolling these, because your stuffing is really high in number. So to kind of get it right, you may need a little of extra dry flour, but don't worry, it's a nice healthy paratha. Okay. So I think I'm going to make about 8 to 10 of these. So you could make this on a nice Sunday morning as a brunch, because they're nice and heavy, and we'd be serving them with yogurt or pickle, some cream if you like, ketchup. There you go. So I have about 6, I think. Yeah, it will be about 8 to 10. They look amazing, isn't it? It's that simple. You just have to get it right, add the right ingredients, and you have a lovely paratha. You know, they're nice and healthy. They act as a lovely brunch. By this, you could actually ensure the nutrients get into your kids. Start eating this as well, because it doesn't look like a vegetable or preparation that they're eating. It looks like a fast food that they're eating. So that way they'll start eating as well. Okay, so I have my roundies ready. I'm now going to need some dry flour to pat them before I take them on my wooden board. So I'm going to add my dry flour luxuriously. Okay, and keep the dry flour at easy access, because you're going to keep kneading it. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to take one of my roundies, place it at the center in the dry flour, pat it down with your palm, turn it around, just pat it like this, pat it down with your palm. Now this process ensures it kind of gives you a kickstarter before you take it to the wooden board, because your stuffing is really large, so it's a heavy paratha, trust me on that. So you're not going to be able to directly take it to the wooden board and start making a nice round paratha. That's going to be difficult, because you'll have the stuffing coming out as well in some cases, because it's really large in number. But don't worry, that just adds to the flavor. Okay, got it to my wooden board now. So it's a decent size. I'm going to start rolling this now. Like I said, when it comes to these heavy parathas, don't really bother about the shape. Just try and get a decent one, because in these parathas you got to taste the essence of the filling really. Okay, turn it around. It's nice and dry. Flip. There you go. I have a decent one sitting there. Okay, I'm gonna place it at this side. Look at this lovely one. Wow, look at the stuffing. I love the fragrance. It's nice and green, very healthy. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more. Take one of the roundies, place it at the center, put some dry flour, push it down with your palm. Try and push it equally on all sides so that you don't have issues later with one side being more grasped with the stuffing. Turn it around, push it down. Okay, lovely. Get this out, place it on the wooden board. I'm gonna start. Now remember, because you've added your mayo, in all probabilities your parathas will break at the sides, because that is really adding to the moisture. And when you place it on the wooden board and try and stretch it, you're getting the mayo to kind of spread, which adds to the flavor, yes, but you may not get the exact shape that you desire. But like I said, don't worry about it, because it just tastes amazing the way it is. Hopefully this is also done. Place it to the side. Okay, let's take another roundie. Dab it with some nice dry flour. Press it down. Hopefully. Now because you dab them with the dry flour, see, when you turn them you don't need to add any extra. So which is why you have to learn the trick of patting dry flour and dabbing it down in the big dish that you use for making the flour. So that ways, you don't have to keep adding the dry flour when you roll the paratha, because too much of dry flour also disturbs the taste. Roughly place it at the side. Okay, this way I'm just going to finish all, and then I'm going to get to lightly frying these parathas. Okay, now that our parathas are nicely round, I've taken a nice non-stick pan, taken about 1 tablespoon of cooking butter, and now I'm going to start adding on my parathas onto the pan. So there you go, place one. Now the way to check that the parathas are ready or no is to basically wait for small bubbles to come up on the top. Bubble like thingy is showing that the paratha underneath is cooked. Will give you an indication that that side is cooked, and you need to toss it around, because the trick is to make them absolutely right, because if you turn them on early, then some parts may remain raw and then it doesn't taste all that good. So you need to be a little more careful. Okay, I think this is showing me and giving me indications that the side is done. So I'm going to try to toss this around. Be very careful because they're absolutely tender. Okay, lovely. Just try and dab the side so that all cooks real good. Awesome. So this one's done. I'm going to gently pick it up and put it into my dish. You see the butter's gone. So you could keep adding a little butter at a time, or after the second, third paratha, once you feel that the pan is greased pretty well, if you wish, you could start adding oil. Really a matter of choice. I'll show you some with oil as well, so you know. I've added butter. I'm going to drop in my second paratha. Lovely. Okay, just keep dabbing so that, very lightly though, the sides cook well. Lovely. Again, it's giving me indications. The side is done. Turn it around. See, it's done so beautifully. And you know, because the filling is nice and luxurious, it's there in a large number, that gets roasted a little bit as well and really adds to the flavor. I can actually smell the lovely greens. You know, some of those that are out are getting roasted. Smells delicious, guys. Okay, this is done. So that's how simple parathas are. Okay, you just need to make it the right way, use the right amount of ingredients, use our magic ingredient of the mayo, and you won't have this trouble. And important thing is they turn out nice and tender, which is why, you know, people will like eating more than one. They're nice and heavy. So a nice brunch, you know, with these parathas makes it lovely. Okay, so I'm gonna toss the next one. There you go. Keep dabbing them like this so that the sides also cook well. This one's made by my student who's just next to me. It's a little weirdly shaped, but hey, as long as, you know, the food tastes good, it's alright. Okay, just dab it down. Wow. So this one's done. I'm trying to lift this up. And one of the things is, once the pan is well greased, you don't need to keep adding oil or butter. So, or you need to add a little amount. It's not going to be too much. I'm going to show you one with an oil now. So add about 2 teaspoonfuls of oil. Okay. Allow this to grease up the pan pretty well. Lovely. Now I'm going to drop one. Okay. Remember, my flame is on the full, so it's at the fastest flame, which is why you have to be alert when you're making these. Keep dabbing them and then instantly look at turning them. Okay, this isn't allowing me to turn. I'm gonna go this way and turn it around. Just gotta get comfortable with your cookware and everything works out. So Susan, my student, has made this one as well. She's actually learning to make parathas and chapatis or Indian flatbread, so let's excuse her for the shape. But it's a good attempt, I would say, Susan. Okay, dab this. Okay, they're decently done. Try and lift this up. If you aren't sure, you could always turn them over and see. So that's the one that I made with oil, and you see the oil is gone. So because the filling is large in number, it's going to need that much amount of oil. So which is why really butter or oil doesn't matter. But if you add any less than the oil that I added, then it kind of doesn't cook well on all sides, and it could just taste raw. I like the ones with butter, because butter, when it's roasting and melting, gives its own flavor. It gives it a completely different experience. Okay, so I'm going to take another one. Lovely. So that way we finish all of the parathas, and then we can serve them really hot. One of the things with parathas is just cook them 10 minutes before you're going to eat them, and that's the taste that you want with these lovely greens. So I'm just going to finish all of my parathas the same way. So there you go, my heap of parathas are absolutely ready, as you can see. They're nice and wholesome, and they're absolutely tender, guys. Wow, it's amazing. So serve this with nice yogurt or pickle, ketchup. Enjoy.